It's been, over the last years, seemingly an interesting trend whereby we've seen climate knowledge, climate conversations move more from a corridor wall setup, right, in international climate spaces and meetings such as the UN climate meetings that happen annually by the name COP, Conference of the Parties, and now to a level where we're seeing increased appreciation of the topic among us citizens. So socializing this conversation from more of a wall meeting, boardroom setup to a socio-public conversation is an effort that non-governmental organizations have put into this process, and it needs to be lauded. There are two sides of community-based work. One is that there's no solution, however large scale, can be implemented without testing it on ground. And so the beauty about community-based initiatives is that they allow us to test ideas. If you think about problem in the agriculture sector, such as rain being erratic and we need to continue farming as smallholder farmers, and you come up with a solution around adaptation, which we've seen some of the communities talking about in the urban setting, talking about alternative ways of farming within the urban setup, thinking about innovations that would allow you as a tenant within your an apartment, or even in the informal settlements, continue providing for your family, then these solutions are being tested and have been tested through the VCA program, coming to light and also being showcased as alternatives that can be scaled up. I started by saying it's not possible to scale up what is not tested. And so the beauty about then these community-based approaches is that they allow us to get into the nitty-gritty of what would be the needs at the local level. How do we really design something that responds to those needs in the context of addressing a changing climate? COP30 is pegged on a very interesting geopolitical landscape, and its success as well will revolve largely around that. But importantly, I would say the power of voices that count being represented at COP30. And these voices that count coming from a program that has really mobilized on-ground voices through national, regional to global scale, then for me these voices have to be on the table. And so we understand what's going on at the global scale. There are funding cuts right, left and center. There are changes in political interest. Unfortunately, climate has been politicized. Climate change is a matter of life and death to people on the front line of the climate crisis. As a young person, we are seeing a whole discussion which will be important at COP30 on how do we frame the entire conversation of climate in financing terms. Now, the Paris Agreement talks about how all financial flows, global financial flows, must respond to the climate goals, must be within the context of low carbon, climate resilience systems. And it's important to understand that money flows, and where money flows, it determines the outcomes. But in the climate context, we have to build an outcome-based thinking. What are the changes that we have to see? Behavioral changes, on-ground changes, systemic and structural changes that have to be financed as we get all financing towards contributing to addressing the climate crisis. These are things that we anticipate that COP30 will be resolving, and we hope that it actually does so.